Hey, George, good morning. How are you?
Hey, Mike, good morning. I always get a kick out of your fresh attitude in the morning, and it makes you wake up and want to go seize the day. So I love that.
Well, you're on the West Coast, so you were up really early.
Yeah, the first time they didn't get it with Trump, with Crooks. The second time they didn't get it. So the third time, I think is a charm. There's these two Iranian guys we talked about the last time, Farahani and Adastani, two Iranian hitmen led into the United States through Miami. That's that same Veltri guy who's doing the investigation on this second shooting.
Right.
He's the special agent in charge. So how do you let not one but two Iranian hitmen in, right, and then lose track of both of them, and they're still running around, and we're chasing the networks that we've been chasing for the last 8 years to try to run them down. And I think this third one is going to be the one that you really have to watch. So that's why I'm in Las Vegas again today at the Paul Whelan gun outlet. So there you go.
A slaughter pen is a kind of a term that George coined for it's such easy pickings that the subject, President Trump in this instance, is actually in a pen. It's like shooting fish in a barrel, right? And these snipers have been trained here to do this. Now let's talk about about how the things that you got right. ActBlue. Crooks is a donor to ActBlue. Routh is a donor to ActBlue. This is not a coincidence. As a matter of fact, in one of your previous Substacks, you called them you had a whole series of wonderful AI-generated images, the ActBlue Sniper Training Program.
Yeah, it's sort of a pool they pick from. I'm not saying that ActBlue is activated snipers. It's a group that knocks on doors mostly. But it's from that pool of young people that are, willing to, go and do stuff, be active. That's where they want you to act out, ActBlue. That's their slogan. And that's who they recruit and pool from. So a Routh would be a recruiter, right, into the ActBlue pool. And Crooks would be a recruitee, a young up-and-coming sniper in the ActBlue pool.
Yeah, but Routh, and there's, they weren't able to scrub Routh's history fast enough. There were enough sleuths on the ground, enough interweb investigative journalists like you, or just curiosity curiosity seekers out there, George, that as soon as his name was revealed and people went and saw that he had social media accounts, no one was viewing, people were recording, they were downloading. So wouldn't that kind of indicate to us, George, that maybe this guy wasn't a sleeper cell that was activated? Because if they had known that he was activated, wouldn't they have previously scrubbed everything from existence? Because they knew that they had activated Crooks, right?
Yes, and I would definitely say that this is the shiny coin they're trying to get us to look at, the magician. And what's behind the back of the magician, it's what you want to be looking for. The two Iranian snipers, I don't know. These are hitmen that say they want to kill Trump. They're state-sponsored goods force. They say they're trying to avenge Soleimani. They got state sponsorship. You got a guy named Paul Whelan with a bunch of armories in Michigan and Florida and here in Las Vegas. You got planes that they can fly. You got other people with Antifa, with white vans that can drive them around. To me, it's not the one that we've solved that's the important thing. It's the next one. And so that's why we spend time on the next one. And it's great to predict the last one and collect the kudos, but we want to spend most of our time on getting Trump to the altar, right? You can talk all about the bride-to-be, but if you don't get to the altar, it's all for naught.
This again is what has been driving this investigation. George and I spoke on Tuesday morning, July the 15th. We've been getting together every week ever since, and he has been gumshoeing this thing all around the country. You know, George, I really think that is, again, and I complimented you on this a couple of weeks ago, this is what people don't expect. They expect everyone to be keyboard warriors. They don't expect anyone to go to the damn gun factory. They don't expect anyone to go to the Pittsburgh office of ActBlue. They don't expect anyone to actually do the investigating that needs to be done. And the fact that you're doing it, again, I worry about you. I worry about you because, you know, you're close to the action. Heaven forfend you should actually, through your work, find an actual smoking gun, because I think they're gonna, you know, I worry about you getting Vincent Fostered or Seth Riched. Yeah.
Always stay in motion. That's one thing. You're harder to hit if
don't
you're
be a sitting
motion.
target.
Right. Keyboard warrior is where, you know, you have a methane accident, you know, in your house. You know, that's an easy one they train for. So always try to stay in motion. And always, you know, I meet with people. We've had a lot of meetings all over the country, 41 different conferences. So there's a lot of people I know around the country, and that helps a lot too. So yeah.
So
we're out there.
Are you saying that this the Routh character then? Are you saying that this wasn't them? He is one of their guys, but he wasn't activated to do this. But now that he went ahead on his own, it looks on his own volition. Looks like he decided that he was going to do this. They're happy with all the media reports out there. There are photographs of this guy, and this is what I wanted to ask you. And I told the audience yesterday, I said I'm going to ask George Webb this and see if he's going to go after this. And if you don't, I bet you someone like Tom Fitton will. The New York Times guy interviewed Routh back in March, said that, hey, I have a meeting with a congressman. I'm on my way to a meeting with a congressman. There were LinkedIn photographs, you can still see them, they left them up, of Routh standing out there in a Giorgio Armani suit, which isn't cheap, standing out there in front of the Capitol saying he's getting ready to go into the Capitol for a meeting with a congressman. Don't you want to know which member of the House of Representatives or the Senate that he was meeting with?
Yeah, but, you know, I think sometimes they have these chickens out there clucking, and a whole bunch of other stuff is going on. For instance, Biden and Harris didn't go out to Andrews Air Force Base and welcome Routh back from Ukraine when he got back from his 5 months in Ukraine. But they did for Paul Whelan, the guy who owns 3 different armories in Michigan, Florida, and Nevada. So that's where your attack's going to come from. He's the guy who's been with the Clinton Foundation training snipers and recruiting snipers for 30 years. So when I look at the pros from Dover, where are the pros from Dover coming from? It's not exactly Dover. It was at Andrews Air Force Base. It's Biden and Harris going out and getting Paul Whelan, and that's why we're following the Paul Whelan network. So I think it's a red herring. I think he's just the chicken clucking in Washington. He might be meeting with somebody that's significant. He talked to a lot of people. Routh did. But I don't really think that's where the attack's going to come from.
Okay, so there's some other things about Routh. George Webb, investigative journalist. Follow him at georgewebb.substack.com. Real George Webb #1. Real George Webb 1 at x.com. Here's another line of interrogation or kind of line of direction here that you have, and you're the only one that's done it. And I'm asking the question now. Here we are. 4 + 2 is 6 + 3. We are 9 weeks removed now from Butler, Pennsylvania. We still don't know the contents of Crooks' phone. The only thing we do know is encrypted messages that he was using encrypted messengers to communicate with people internationally. We do know that there is an ample paper trail. We know that Routh was flying international. He was flying from Hawaii to L.A., from L.A. to West Palm, from West Palm or from L.A. or from Honolulu to Kiev to Kabul in Afghanistan. He flew to Damascus in Syria. This guy's jet-setting all around the world. He's a former construction worker worker. He literally doesn't have a pot to piss in. So how is all this international travel happening? How is he able to raise hundreds of thousands of dollars? How is he standing outside the Capitol in Kiev and is going to go inside and apparently meet with Zelensky or someone? All of this suggests that they know this guy. This guy has to be known to the State Department of the United States. Would you agree with that?
Sure. And again, I think it's the shiny coin. It's the distraction. The money is going into Ukraine. It is going into the Azov Brigade. He did support the Azov Brigade, but it's going to a guy named, not Zelensky, but Zelensky's, the puppet master of Zelensky, which is a guy named Kolomoisky. So as long as he's out there dancing in, Independence Square, the reporters won't cover the real corruption of where the money's going in Ukraine. And it makes it seem like there's a shoestring. He's building drones and he's doing all these things. Spoons and forks for Kiev. You know what I mean? It makes it think that we haven't given $200 billion. Yes, we have. This is more money than we would, that we've spent in a lot of wars. So I definitely think they know who he is, but I definitely think they have a plan B. The lone gunman, Lee Harvey Oswald. They really thought they had that with the first one, with Crooks, right? And again, they're suppressing. For all that we know about Routh, it's the exact opposite about Crooks, with all the elimination of the social media and all the details, right? And all the messages, right? This one, now you're at the Harvey Keitel stage, where you're at the cleaner stage. Pulp Fiction. When the first two don't go well, you're at Pulp Fiction now. You're at Harvey Keitel with the cleaners, and that's going to be the Iranians. Again, they're going to say, if only we would have had counter-strike drones, if we only would have had the SAIC CUAS system, the counter-UAS system, etc. And this is the thesis of American Slaughter Pen, is they're always going to be one behind, in this, and finally Trump gets it, and then they're going to use the technology that they get. Now we're going to stop the next one. But when they stop the next one with that technology, it's going to be for us at January 6, 2025. They're going to use those drone counter-strike, killer drone technology on crowds in the United States. So that's my prediction. That's the whole thrust of American Slaughter Pen.
Okay, George Webb, investigative journalist. That's all the time we have for this round, brother. Thank you very much. God bless you.